Well, my name is Kathleen Hughes, and I am 71 years young. I have a problem with my home. I was illegally foreclosed on, one thing. And the next thing was they evicted me.
How long did you live at your house for?
I lived in my home for 9 years.
And now they kicked you out?
Yes, they kicked me out. 2 men knocked on my door and said my house was being up for auction at 10 o'clock. And this was like 10 minutes to 10. So I don't know what they did. They didn't give me no paper or anything. And then a couple of days later, they had posted something on the door saying that they were the new owners.
Simple as that?
Simple as that. Mm-hmm.
Wow. You were making payments on your house for 9 years until this happened. And so when did the problem start? What did that look like?
Well, the problem started when I tried to get a home modification. I got laid off my job. And
what were you doing for work?
I was an account rep for a firm. And I got laid off my job, and then I had which I didn't know, that I had an adjustable rate mortgage until someone called me from Countrywide and said that my rate was going to adjust, and so my house note went up. When the loan adjusted, it was out of my reach for the income. So the modification was supposed to put it there so that you can meet it and, pay your mortgage on time and be comfortable with that.
And you were also laid off at the same time?
Well, I was laid off about the year after that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to find work after that?
Yeah, nobody gonna have no senior citizen. They say they are, but they don't. So you got to. It has to be real. And when I got laid off, I was 65 plus. So I would fill out applications and whatever, and they take them, of course. But as far as being hiring, no one hired me. I know I could work, but no one hired me. And they took my rental property. I had a rental property, so the people that said they bought my property, they harassed my tenant, and she left, so they changed the locks on the property.
They ran off the renter, so she lost that income last October. They went over, they harassed the renter, and the renter decided she wanted to be somewhere else, and the rental income was gone all of a sudden.
So that was part of the buying the property so I could have some retirement money coming in along with my Social Security. So
that was your plan?
That was the plan.
Thought that was wrong.
First thing that they did was I was a senior citizen when I bought the home, and they counted different incomes, which was not there. And then one of the denials for the modification was that it was a vacant lot, and it has never been vacant.
Was it easy before to make the rent?
Of course.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're getting by pretty well.
Of course, I was doing good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How much was rent back then?
Yeah, it was affordable. It was $1,700 when I first bought the property.
$1,700?
Yeah, and then went to 26.
26.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did you try to get a loan modification?
Oh, I'm pretty sure 10 or maybe more, but I know I've been trying to get a modification for at least 10 times.
My name is Ramona Hampton. My age is my business, and I'm with the Los Angeles Anti-Eviction Campaign. The mission of the Los Angeles Anti-Eviction Campaign ultimately is to attach Article 25 of the UN Declaration of Human Rights to the U.S. Constitution. In other words, we want to guarantee food, housing, medical care to everybody in the United States.
And we want to bring that right to Los Angeles.
We're going to start here.
Mrs. Hughes' case represents, is this common?
She represents far too many people who've been, frankly, led by the bankers to purchase property under terms that are untenable. I mean, they just, any financial professional could tell you this isn't going to work. But that's not what they told her. She relied on the professionals. She signed the note. I rely on my doctor. And I think it was the same thing here. They didn't tell her the terms. Frankly, they sold her house while she had filed for bankruptcy and before the bank had made a determination. And this is happening all over Los Angeles, and it's happening in Chicago with our chapter out there. It's happening in Cape Town. We have a chapter in Cape Town, South Africa. It's the same thing. We're trying to get their homes back. I mean, I'll be real frank with it. There are plenty of groups who can refer you to a shelter here or there. We're trying to stop the process. What happened to her is they took her life savings, they took her money for as long as she had money, and then they took the house back, and she's left with nothing. And this is happening to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, and the banks are getting rich on this deal.
Besides the worry of shelter, having a roof over their head, it seems like a lot of people are attached to their homes.
This is your livelihood. This is where you live. This is what you're used to. Just to be displaced is devastating. You got to be attached to something. Aren't you attached to your apartment? So this you have worked. You put your money in this stuff. Now if they hadn't put my money in there, they'd have gave it to me. It'd have been a totally different thing. I took my 401k and put down for my down payment on my home. So, that was my money that I had earned. So they didn't give it to me. So, you gotta stand for something. Don't you agree?
Very much so. Let me ask. So when the sheriffs came, they changed the locks, and you had a social worker that you're able to talk to. What are some of the options that they gave you? Like, they said, okay, you can't get into your home now, so they told
they told me that I could go to a shelter down on 50. She gave me the address, 50-something in Maine. Maine is like, I guess, a homeless shelter down there. And it was like Skid Row. That's 5th Street. I didn't realize it until Adam said, that's 5th Street. That's downtown. So.
And that would have been for free, or?
It would have been $200 a month.
Tell me, when this problem happened, you reached out to the community.
Oh, well, after it was sold, I didn't know about Occupy until I was over to West Angeles Church, and this guy was talking about it. So
Occupy Los Angeles.
Yeah. And I went to their meeting, and then I got the support from them.
In the 9,003 zip code, there were a few weeks ago there were something like 974 houses up for auction in one zip code.
Yeah.
It's like that, and. Obviously our campaign can't be doing this by ourselves. We're not in there trying to tell people what to do. What we're trying to tell people is they can do it. Yeah. We're going to try and organize people a little bit around a no displacement zone where people will just refuse to move and will go to the aid of their neighbors if they're, like Mauricio did with Miss Hughes, and try to stop this.
Tell me more about that. So it looks like there is a role that the community could play.
It's got to be a community action. It can't be a handful of do-gooders coming into a neighborhood and trying to save Miss Hughes.
Right.
We're down there right now canvassing the neighborhood, organizing people around Miss Hughes' action, handing out flyers, signing people up. We're going to throw a block party in a couple of weeks and let the neighbors get to know the neighbors. And the idea here is really for the people to understand that they don't have to put up with this anymore. If enough people in every zip code, in every neighborhood in Los Angeles says, no, the sheriffs are not going through my neighbor's door, then this ends.
That's really interesting, the role that your neighbors could play in protecting your home. So tell me, the tactic is to organize your neighbors then?
Yes.
To save your home?
Yes.
Well, Occupy, all of us been working together. It's just a thing. We all got to work together because something has to happen, and it has to be solved because it's a lot more people than me. Because when the police was at my house last Wednesday, they said they was doing what?
3,000 a month.
3,000 people a month being evicted from their property. That is a lot of people. It's not just me. You know what I'm saying? And if it was just one or two, then it was the people. But this is a nationwide problem. A city, California problem that we're having here. And, something is wrong. And the politicians are burying their head in the sand thinking that, we just deadbeat homeowners. That is not true. So, something needs to be done.
tell me, so this problem is pretty common, right? So I think there's like a YouTube video out there, right, with the I think one of your folks talking to the lieutenant that showed up to her house.
Yes.
And I think the lieutenant admitted that there's 3,000 evictions
Yes.
a month.
Yes, 3,000 evictions a month. And the bottom line is everybody has a basic human right to housing. And our society can't provide that. Our society is actually taking housing from people at this point. We have more unoccupied housing in this country than we have homeless people. And there's something very wrong with a system that does that. This is sucking money from low and middle income people and transferring wealth to the rich. And that's what's happening. And it was set up to do that. It was set up to sell these subprime loans to mostly people of color, frankly. Okay? People who had just maybe stepped up to the middle class, had maybe a dream of leaving something for their kids. And it was a sham. It was a ruse to steal their money and then take the home back and sell it again.
And so this is a few days ago when the sheriff showed up to your house and they changed the locks, right?
Yeah. I got a call saying that the sheriff was at my house and I need you to come home. So when I get home, they're there.
Who called you?
My friend called me, and then my son called me.
You saw the sheriff at your house, or?
Well, my neighbor saw the sheriff at my house, and he called Adam. And then I think Adam called me, and then Adam called my son. Anyway, it was like a chain thing, and then I had to come home. And when I got home, they wouldn't let me in my yard.
Did they let you take anything out of your house or anything like that?
No, they didn't let me take anything out of there, but I had a person, one of the sheriffs. Evidently, he worked with my social worker, and he had got me some things out of my house. My toothbrush, my dog food, and my stuff like that.
Small stuff.
Yeah.
You still have a lot of stuff in your house, though.
Everything is in my house. Everything is in my house. My deodorant, my makeup, my Mary Kay, everything is in my house. Yeah. Yeah.
Who else showed up when the sheriff showed up? I mean, was there other people from the community there? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, the neighbors started, of course, watching the action and coming down the street. I think there were probably 3 or 4, although this was midday, so most people are at work. And we had probably 6 of our members out there. We videotaped most of it.
From the Anti-Eviction Campaign.
From the Anti-Eviction Campaign. We videotaped it, and we spent a lot of time talking to the sheriffs, and as I say, there was one sheriff who was working with her to hand stuff over the fence so she could get some personal belongings out.
Did they let you decide what to take, or was it up to the sheriff?
No, they didn't let me decide nothing. He just grabbed something. Other than that, he hadn't grabbed it, I wouldn't have had that. No, they didn't tell him, well, you get this for her, you get this for her. I just told him to give me something, so he did, and get my dog's food, his leash, because I had it in a certain place, and that's what they did. That's what this one particular sheriff did.
Let me ask, it's kind of a random question, but do you feel like you have enough clothes for the week right now?
Well, from friends, and I have friends that gave me this, what I'm wearing right now. One of my friends that gave it to me. She gave it to me. I mean, I'm not going to give it back. Some things I might give it back after I'm clean it, but this is just a suit she wasn't wearing, so she just gave me this. And it's too big, but anyway, I can handle it. I got it, so when I get home, it'll still be on.
I mean, at this point, the sheriffs are working for the banks on this. They said they actually charge the banks about $200 an eviction. They're doing...
So the sheriffs are making money by doing it?
Yeah. When I say the sheriffs are working for the banks, I mean the sheriffs are working for the banks.
Literally.
Literally.
Instead of the consumers. They're supposed to protect us.
Yeah. Instead of the people out here. I mean, what the sheriffs told me is we're doing what the courts tell us, but the sheriffs make money on every eviction. So the more evictions they do, the more money they make.
200 per eviction.
200 per eviction. Organizing neighbors. If we look at Mrs. Hughes' neighbor, the fact that he was able to reach us and we were able to reach her meant the sheriffs were watching. That's very clear. She went out to run errands. They didn't want her there. We got her back, and she was able to get her dog and her dog food and some necessities out of the house and not walk back and find the door locked and the fence chained.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not enough.
Right.
It's not enough, but that's what neighbors can do for each other. At least she's living in some sort of modicum of comfort because she was able to get out a change of clothes. She doesn't have to worry about the dog. I mean, they were chasing the dog with one of those catch poles with a noose on it. The dog's a Chihuahua. And her dog doesn't deserve that.
Right, he sure didn't, because they'd have locked him up in there. We'd have had a real problem. They would have probably put me in jail, because I was going to went in there and got my dog, because that would have been wrong for them to do that.
Well, let me ask, is it reasonable to expect the sheriffs to do otherwise? Because,
Around the country, sheriffs are. Sheriff's
Tell me about
deputies are refusing, and I don't have the details, but I have read about it. Sheriff's deputies are refusing to do evictions at this point. Just as employees, this is not the work they signed up to do. They didn't sign up to throw Mrs. Hughes out of her house. And there's starting to be some real discomfort among sheriff's deputies elsewhere at doing this work. I haven't seen it yet in Los Angeles County. Although I can honestly tell you, all the deputies that I talked to when she was evicted, every one of them was very uncomfortable with what they were having to do. Every one of them was kind of jabbing their toe in the dirt and looking down and not looking at all proud.
So you're in the process of being laid off, of seeing payments for your mortgage go up.
Yeah.
The property was being sold around to different banks.
First it was Countrywide. Then after Countrywide, it was First Franklin. Then after First Franklin, they say, when I went down there, they said an investor, and it was Fannie Mae when I went to one of these meetings in San Diego. So it was Fannie Mae. And then next thing, it was Bank of America. So I don't really know. Nobody know who owned this property.
So there is a class action lawsuit against Bank of America. And were you ineligible?
I was ineligible for
Why?
that because my home was bought by an investor at that time. So when the investor was evicting me, Bank of America say they didn't own the property. The investors owned the property, so I didn't qualify for that.
You paid thousands of dollars to people promising to negotiate modifications?
Well, yeah. This guy, he swindled me out of $3,700.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. He don't tell me. He don't talk to me. I don't know. He got my money and ran. He took it and ran.
Who was this guy, though? Who'd you talk to?
Marshall Broadway. It was Broadway Financial Group, something like that.
You asked them for help. And
Oh, yeah.
You gave them $3,000?
That's what he told me. He charged me, yeah.
And then in return you got?
I got my house sold. That's bottom line. That's what happened. Yeah, wow.
So you drove to Las Vegas to figure all this out, and you drove to San Diego
Yeah,
to save your home?
yeah.
You paid out all this money to these groups?
But I didn't pay a NACA. That was NACA program.
Yeah, but
I didn't
you paid
pay
that
them.
$3,000 to that financial
Yeah.
service.
NACA doesn't charge. But I went to Las Vegas for their workshop. And then I went to LA, down here in LA workshop. And then I went to San Diego workshop. Then I came back and went to the convention center to the workshop. So I've been going. It ain't like I'm just sitting still. So that's it.
So you've been fighting this for how many years exactly?
I guess I've been fighting this since 2009.
We're just trying to find everybody a place to stay, suitable housing, so that they can have some base, so their kids can have an education, so they can have someplace just to do little things like store food, a refrigerator, someplace to put their clothes so they don't have to sleep in them. A house is all of that. A house is not just four walls. It's a place where you build a family. It's a place where you have a community. It's a place where you become an integrated member of society. And they're ripping people away from that, and folks like Ms. Hughes and others are falling out of the system and onto the streets. And this has got to stop. This has just got to end at this point.
If they want to get a hold of your organization, where can they go?
We've got a website that we're just now building. We're a startup organization at Anti-Eviction Campaign.org. We've also got a Facebook page at LA Anti-Eviction, and you can find our phone number there.
Do you feel that this event has changed your attitude
Meaning?
on like your view of the country, the system, etc.?
Well, the system is not working with the homeowners. You know, I've changed my view on that for the simple fact they're not trying to look into the matter. That's what I think. But no, the country is still America. You know, I mean, I can't. Where I'm gonna go? This is the best thing going right now. So it hasn't changed my view on the country.